Good day, everyone. So after a short while, today I'll be reviewing this particular book titled Measure What Matters, OKRs, the simple idea that drive 10x growth. I've been away for some time now because reading this book is a bit technical. If you are not interested in anything tech related stuff like that, it may not interest you, but I'm able to finish it, and today I'll be doing the review. And I'm very sure that there are so many lessons that you will take out from this particular book. So as I said, I'm reviewing this particular book today, and starting with, I think it has about 21 chapters. It has 21 chapters. I may not be able to touch on all the chapters, but I'll be able to touch on some of the points from the chapters. I'll be starting with chapter 1, and in chapter 1, OKRs is objective and key results. OKRs is objective and key results, and what is allowed is that it helps organizations to have a focus of what they want to achieve. So, and then there are different companies that they use, Google, products, and different other businesses that they use, how they use OKR in the organization and how it helps them to achieve their goals. And chapter 1 talks about Google and how they use OKR to achieve their goal. Idea are easy, execution everything. Yes, that's the first point from the book. Ideas is everybody can get an idea to do something, but execution is what really matters. And there is no way you want to execute if you don't have a very planned goal, and that is what this particular book does. It helps you to narrate how you want to achieve your goals and the goals you want to achieve. For anyone striving for high performance in the workplace, goal is a very necessary thing. In any organization that you may find yourself, to achieve a very progress, there is need to set a defining goal that that it can allow you to achieve them. Objective and key result drives clarity, accountability, and the uninhibited pursuit of greatness. It helps you to be accountable, like you are accountable to delivering what you set out that you want to achieve, and that is what OKR does. It helps to drive clarity. You have clarity of where you are going. You have clarity of what you want to achieve. You have clarity of the greatness that you look forward to within your organization. That is what OKR does. In chapter 2, Phil said knowledge is secondary, while execution is all important. You may have knowledge of something, but how do you translate that knowledge into products? How do you translate that knowledge into something that is viable? And that is where this book matters. It is the OKR. OKR allows you to achieve all these things. If you don't measure it, things get better. Like, I want to have 100 clients within a month. Then how do I meet them? Will I send cold emails? Will I send them an ad? You just have to measure what you want to achieve. So if you measure it, it get better. It may not probably give you the answer to what you want, but it get better towards achieving those what you want to achieve. Chapter 4 talks about superpower, that is the focus and commit to priorities, setting priorities in your goals. Like, goals allow you to set priority for what you want to achieve. Successful organization focus on the handful of initiative that makes a great difference, the very less urgent ones. That is, a very good organization, they have a handful, like they're not setting too much thing that they will not be able to achieve. They set what they can achieve, they think they can achieve, and they work on those things instead, and they get to do away with those that does not really matter. When an OKR rises to the top line, all eyes in the company are on the team. Yeah, this one is said by Rick. And when your OKR reach the top line, like the top management, every eyes on the team, like we set out what we want to achieve, then all we have to do is how do we achieve this. In chapter 5 talks about focus. The remind story is reminds an organization. In this chapter they set out 3 watchwords for entrepreneurs. For entrepreneurs, what are the 3 things that you should do? 1, solve a problem, build a simple product, talk to the users. These are 3 things that you can do as a watchword for an entrepreneurs. To remain focused, focus on like what is a problem that you want to solve, build a product from that problem, and then talk to your users. OKR helps enormously by helping people to focus on what could move the company to the next level. That is the work of OKRs. It allows organization to focus on what will move them to the next level, and that's what objective by key results does. In chapter 6 they talk about Nona's story. Nona is also an organization, and OKRs, until your executive are fully on board, you can't expect contribution to follow suit, especially when a company OKR are aspirational. Executive must be, your people, your team must be fully in alignment with what you set out to achieve. That is when your OKR can be achieved. Chapter 7 talks about superpower, that is alignment and connect for teamwork. This talks about synergy within an organization. When goals are public and feasible to all, a team of teams can attack trouble spots whenever they surface. It allows you, alignment and connect allows you to work with as a team within an organization. Like we set out what you want to achieve, everybody knows about it, it is well written, we can all see it, then we can focus and go towards it and achieve it. My fitness story, this is in chapter 8. My fitness story is also another organization, says OKR are not island. To the contrary, they create network, vertical, horizontal, diagonal, to connect an organization most vital work. That is, they help both the vertical organization and diagonal to within an organization to achieve what they intend to achieve. That is, every areas of the organization from top to down, diagonal, people that work within each other, within the teams, and without the organogram of the organization, it will allow them to come together and achieve what they set to achieve. OKR can be well crafted, but implementation can fall short. Yeah, in drafting an OKR, it could be so tempting. Like you can draft an OKR, but implementation is very important. One thing is to draft a goal objective. One thing is to see how it could be well achieved. Chapter 9 talks about connect, and connect is about intuit story. It's also an organization like that. Chapter 10 talks about superpower, track for accountability. That is, how do you checkmate what you've written, the objective? How do you checkmate within a month? Do you achieve it? Within a quarter, do you achieve it? Within 6 months, do you achieve it? That is what this talk about. One overrated virtue of OKR is that they can be tracked and revised, unlike business goals that can be forgotten. When you set a goal within an organization, you could forget them. But when you set an objective by key results, then you can't forget. You revise it from time to time. As I said earlier, in a month do you achieve it? In 2 months do you achieve it? Then by then you can know if you're on track or not. Without an action plan, the executive becomes a prisoner of events. Action plan is needed. No matter what the OKR that you set to achieve, you also need an action plan to achieve your goal. And I think I mentioned chapter 117. I think I just need to read this part out. OKR are adaptable by nature. They are meant to be guide rails, not chain or blinders. As we track and audit our OKR, we have 4 options at any point in the circle. Within the circle of the objective that we've set, so what are the 4 things that we can do? Number 1 is continue. If a green zone on track goal is not broken, then fix it. Number 2, update. Modify a yellow zone, not attention. Key result or objective to respond to changes in the workflow or external environment. What could be done differently to get the goal on track? Does it need a revised timeline? That is, the timeline you've set before, can't you work along with it again? Do you need to reset it? Do we back burner other initiative to free up resources for this particular one? These are questions you have to ask. Either you have to update it. Number 3, start. Launch a new OKR mid-cycle whenever the need arises. If you can't go with the OKR that you've set before, then you can launch a new OKR that can arise within the cycle that you've set. And number 4, stop. When a red zone at risk, go has outlived its usefulness. The best solution may be to drop it. When a goal has outlived its usefulness, that is no more useful, then you can stop that OKR and work on other things. Chapter 11 talks about track. It used gate story, and gate story is so very important that I think it was 20-something billion that was set to work on the gate story. And gate story, they were trying to help with malaria in sub-Saharan Africa, and the story was also used in this particular book. I don't have details on it. So their story is also used in this, how they use OKRs to achieve some of the goal that they set. And I think at some point they reduce the level of malaria in the sub-Saharan Africa through the initiative that they embarked on. In chapter 12 talks about stretch for amazing. Chapter of superpower, stretch for amazing. OKR push us far beyond our comfort zone. They lead us to achievement on the border between abilities and dreams. That is, between ability and dreams, it allows us to lead to achievement between what on the border between ability and what we could achieve. And I think in 138 talks about Gmail story. I could read a part of it, and the Gmail story, how they were able to silence other companies because they use OKR to roll out their products, and they did so well that other organizations could not meet up with their kind of what they roll out. So they use OKR to achieve that. Gmail didn't merely improve on an existing system. It reinvented its category and forced competitors to raise their game by order of magnitude. They raised their game when they enter, like they reinvented themselves through OKR. Chapter 13 talking about stretch, and that is about the Google Chrome story, that browser that we all use. And they have some series of milestone that they stated out in the book. Chrome reached 20 million in 7 days active user. These are attainable goals that they set and they pursue it. As leaders, you must try to challenge the team without making them feel the goal is unachievable. That is, your team you must work with your team in the sense that they all believe that the goal that you set is achievable. Whenever we invent something new at Google, we are always thinking, how can we scale it to billions? That is the goal that they work with. Whenever they invent anything new, how can they scale it rapidly to reach more people? They keep setting goals beyond what they have at present, and they finally achieve them. They keep, Google through Chrome, they keep setting, goals, and they keep achieving them as they set. Also, Stretch in chapter 14 talks about the YouTube story. No company is too young to adapt to OKRs, and for no company is too late. Stretch goals can be crushing if people don't believe they are achievable. You have to make sure you enable your team that to ensure that that goal they are pursuing is achievable and attainable. So the part 2 of this book talks about, that's in chapter 15 now, the new world of work. We've talked about some of this company. Now we're in the new world of work, and chapter 3 talks about continuous performance management, OKR and CFRs. Talks about how you set a goal, then you check up on it. Continuous performance, like you check up on this talked about managing people is essential for the progress of every organization. Checking up on, are there right people in the team that you can work with? How can you improve on what the goal you've set? It talks about this. To reach goals almost beyond beyond imagining, people must be managed at high level. Continuous performance can lift every individual achievement. And this talks about, between the relationship between manager and workers. How do you manage them? Are they scared to meet with the manager to discuss what they are going through? How do you manage the relationship that is in between them? And our part, international trade and development non-profit, international trade and development profit, key annual performance for OKRs and CFRs. They've been using annual performance before in part, and they have to kill it off because it's not working. Setting a yearly goal that you have to, a yearly performance rather than OKRs that give them periodic review of what they are doing. And what did they do? Firstly, they set monthly one-on-one conversation between manager and employee. You see, that's the first thing they did. Like every month, the manager meets with the employee and they discuss what they are going through within them. They have conversation. Secondly, there is quarterly review of the progress against the OKR. What have you achieved in this quarter with the OKR? Thirdly, have semi-annual professional development conversation. That's between the managers and the employee, like their professional development, they discuss it. Number 4, surrounded by positive reinforcement and feedback, self-driven insights. A better work experience, critical conversation that should happen between managers and contributors. Number 1, goal settings and reflection. Number 2, ongoing progress and updates. Number 3, two-way coaching. You talk to me, I talk to you. Number 4, career growth. Number 5, lightweight performance review. Not just like how are you doing? Are you attaining your goals? Are you achieving the objective that you've set? What is it that you want to help out with? Gratitude imbibes good spirit within an organization. Every cheer is a step towards operating excellence, the growing purpose of OKRs and CFR. Like you cheer up your team, you cheer up them, and it allows them to work more on the OKRs and CFRs. Chapter 16 talked about ditching annual performance review. The Adobe story. The Adobe is also a company like that as well. The true mechanism of success are the ones that build capacity and enable people to deliver for the company, not policies and program. Adobe use check-in for their review. Is the true mechanism of success are the ones that builds their capacity of people, not the one that is policed by just policies and program. We must do this. This is how we do it. This is how we do this. And for Adobe, they use check-in to review how employees are faring within an organization. Chapter 17 talks about baking better every day. The Zoom Pizza Story. This is a pizza company that they use OKR and it's skyrocketed their growth so much. Zoom's biggest asset was the talent and the creative team. It allows them to work with people with a definite key objective and results. A real good company value different opinions, not policy. And chapter 8 talks about culture. In Groove's word, culture is equated with efficiency, a manner for quicker, more reliable decision. Scaling requires system and metrics. Within an organization, there must be a system that they follow. And in chapter 19 talks about culture change, and that is Lumri's story. Yeah, the Lumri story. And I think I penned down the chapter. Maybe there must be an important something I wanted to share from there. The Lumri's story. Yeah, it talks about culture. I didn't underline anything from there. But I think, yeah, it's okay. That's what I want to say is it's an healthcare business, and now they also move so well to to achieve their result. They had to let some, one of the things that they did was like they let some old members with old ideologies, old senior leaders with old school and autocratic approach leave. They had to let them go because they did not fit into what they are trying to achieve at a time. So they let old people go. There is HR transformation, there is OKR restoration, there is OKR implementation. Beyond achieving it, it has to do with cultural agenda. So they set new culture, and with OKRs in action, employee does not only focus on their work alone, they tend to work with other people in the organization. At least they are not focused on only their goal, but they also focus on what other people are doing within an organization so that they can achieve the goal of the organization. And chapter 12, number 20 talks about cultural change. That is the bonus one campaign story. Yeah, one campaign story. Yeah, it talks about one campaign story. One campaign has leaned on OKR to achieve fundamental cultural change. Working out, if you don't know, like one campaign is working towards the eradication of hate, that is, and they're working towards the eradication of debt, AIDS, trade, and in Africa. That's data. Debt, AIDS, trade in Africa. So it's a global advocacy organization for public policy change. It declared mission to address poverty, disease, and development in Africa in alliance with government bodies and other multinational organizations. It is just more or less like the biggest organization and with different focus. And they were able to get, some people into their board, more Ibrahim, a philanthropist into the organization, and it helps them in their board advisory like that. And the last chapter, we talks about chapter 12, the goals to come. What are the goals to come? It talks about ideas are easy, execution is everything. So I'm leaving you with these thoughts. Ideas are easy, execution is everything. And for you to achieve a good result, you can focus on using OKR, objective and key results. I believe you've learned one or two things from this particular book. Measure What Matters, OKR, the simple ideas that drive the next group by Doerr. And I'll see you in the next edition. Thank you for watching.